If your H-1B registration was selected for fiscal year 2027, do not sit back and celebrate just yet. The clock is already running. You have a filing window that opened on April 1st, 2026, and it closes on June 30th, 2026. Miss it, and your selection gets voided. No second chance, no extension, gone. And this year, there is something else you need to know. The rules have changed in a major way, and if your employer or attorney is not prepared, a perfectly valid selection could still result in a denial. Stay with me. This video will walk you through everything. Welcome back to Immigration Updates Today. I am glad you are here because today's update is one of the most important ones of this entire year. On March 27, 2026, USCIS began rolling out selection notices for the fiscal year 2027 H-1B cap lottery. By March 31st, all notifications were expected to be completed. So, if you or your employer submitted a registration this season, you should already be checking your My USCIS account right now. But here is what makes this year different from every single year before it. The fiscal year 2027 lottery is the first to use a new weighted wage-level-based selection process established under a DHS rule that took effect on February 27, 2026. This is not a small tweak. This is a structural change to the entire selection system, and it affects who got selected, how petitions must be filed, and how USCIS will review your case. How to check your status right now. The first thing you need to do, right after watching this video, is log into your My USCIS account or have your employer check theirs. If you are an employee, you must wait for your employer or attorney to notify you. There are 3 possible statuses you may see. Selected means you are eligible to file an H-1B cap petition. Submitted means you were not selected in the first round, but your registration remains in the system for potential subsequent rounds. Denied usually occurs if there were duplicate registrations for the same person by the same employer. If your status says selected, that is great news. But remember this clearly, being selected is not the same as being approved. Selection only means your employer can now file a petition on your behalf. It does not mean your visa is approved. If your status says submitted, do not panic. A second lottery round is still possible. USCIS began posting fiscal year 2027 H-1B initial selection process notices on March 27, 2026, and as of March 30th, it had not announced a second lottery. A second round will depend on how many selected employers actually file complete cap petitions between April 1st and June 30th, 2026. The new wage-weighted system, what changed and why it matters. Now, let us talk about the biggest change in H-1B history, one that decided who got selected this year. The Department of Homeland Security issued a final rule replacing the random lottery selection process with a wage-based weighted selection system. The new selection process increases the likelihood of selection for the highest paid beneficiaries based on the 4-tiered wage levels used by the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Foreign Labor Certification. Here is how the weighting works. The number of lottery entries a registration receives corresponds to the offered salary relative to the Department of Labor's 4-level wage scale. Level 1, which is entry level, receives 1 entry. Level 2, which represents some experience, receives 2 entries. Level 3, for mid-level positions, receives 3 entries. And Level 4, for highly experienced roles, receives 4 entries. In simple terms, if your offered salary was at the highest wage level, your registration was 4 times more likely to be picked compared to an entry-level position. Early reports from March 28th and 29th suggest Level 3 and Level 4 cases had stronger selection rates. This change is significant. It means that lower-paid, entry-level roles had a much harder time getting selected this cycle. And it also means something very important for the petition filing stage, which I will explain in a moment. The $100,000 fee. Does it apply to you? There is another major change you absolutely need to understand before your employer files your petition. A presidential proclamation introduced a $100,000 supplemental fee for new H-1B petitions filed for beneficiaries outside the United States or for those requesting consular processing. It does not apply to H-1B renewals or change of status filings for people already in the country, including F-1 students. So if you are currently inside the United States, perhaps on an F-1 visa with OPT or on another visa status, and your employer files for a change of status, this additional $100,000 fee does not apply to you. But if you are outside the United States and your employer wants to bring you in through consular processing, this fee kicks in. That distinction has split the H-1B visa program into two tracks. Employers seeking to bring in workers from abroad now face a far higher upfront cost, while companies filing for people already in the United States avoid the additional payment. This is a critical detail. Talk to your employer now, understand which track applies to your situation before the petition is assembled. The filing window. 90 days that you cannot waste. Employers have a strict filing window from April 1st to June 30th, 2026, to submit a fully documented petition. 90 days may sound like a lot of time. It is not. While 90 days may sound generous, assembling a fully documented H-1B petition involves multiple sequential steps that each require processing time. Employers who wait until May or June risk running into LCA certification delays, document collection problems, and the kind of last-minute errors that trigger requests for evidence. Here is the most important step that needs to happen first. Before you can file the H-1B petition itself, the employer must submit a labor condition application, also known as Form ETA 9035, to the U.S. Department of Labor. The LCA certifies that the employer will pay the beneficiary at or above the prevailing wage for the specific occupation and worksite location. LCA certification typically takes 7 to 10 business days, though delays can occur. You cannot file the petition without an approved LCA. So if your employer has not already started this process, they need to begin today. If the petition is not submitted before the deadline noted in the registration selection notice, the selection will be voided, and the H-1B number will be reallocated to a different beneficiary as part of a potential waitlist or secondary lottery. There is no grace period. There is no appeal for missing this deadline. What USCIS will scrutinize this year. Here is something that many people overlook. Getting selected and filing on time is not enough. Your petition must be solid from top to bottom. USCIS now has stated authority to deny or revoke a case if it believes the employer inflated the wage level at registration. A higher wage level used only to improve lottery odds can trigger denial or later revocation. This is very important. If your employer listed a level 3 or level 4 wage during registration, your actual offered salary and job duties must genuinely match that level. USCIS is actively checking this. If your registration was selected at a specific wage level, your filed petition must demonstrate a salary consistent with that level. USCIS is actively verifying alignment between the registration wage level, the LCA wage, and the actual offered compensation. Also be aware of a technical detail this year. From April 1st, 2026, USCIS accepts only Form Y-129, edition dated February 27, 2026. A selected employer can still face rejection by reusing an outdated H-1B packet. Make sure your attorney or employer is using the correct and most current version of all forms. Your clear action list. First, log into My USCIS or ask your employer to check the registration status immediately. Confirm whether your notice says selected. Second, if selected, push your employer to start the LCA process right away. Do not wait even a week. The LCA must be certified before the petition can be filed, and delays happen. Third, confirm whether you are inside or outside the United States. This determines whether the $100,000 supplemental fee applies to your petition. Fourth, verify that your job duties and salary genuinely match the wage level submitted during registration. If there is a mismatch, discuss it with an immigration attorney before filing. Fifth, make sure your employer is using Form I-129 with the edition date of February 27, 2026. Older versions will not be accepted. Sixth, if your status still shows submitted, stay patient but stay alert. Monitor your account regularly in case a second lottery round is announced by USCIS later this summer. The fiscal year 2027 H-1B selection results started rolling out on March 27, 2026. The filing window is open from April 1st to June 30th, 2026. This is the first year with a wage-weighted lottery, meaning higher-paid roles had better chances of selection. A new $100,000 fee applies to workers being sponsored from outside the United States. The LCA must be filed and approved before the petition can go to USCIS. Wage levels must genuinely match the job. USCIS is verifying this, and you must use the updated Form Y-129. Miss any of these details, and your selection means nothing. That is everything you need to know about the fiscal year 2027 H-1B selection results and what comes next. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Share it with anyone in your network who is going through this process right now. They may not even know the deadline is already running. Subscribe to Immigration Updates today so you never miss a critical update like this one. We cover H-1B, green cards, visa changes, USCIS policy shifts, and everything that affects your immigration journey with accurate, up-to-date information every single week. Stay informed, stay prepared, and good luck with your petition.